First question I'll answer is discuss how communication works within an organization, explain upward, downward, and lateral communication. Also to discuss the role of silence, what is it, and what is its meaning, and how should we understand it in an organizational context. First, I will discuss how communication works. Communication is when someone wants to send a message to a receiver. There's downward communication. This is where someone at the top of the organization has to send a message that needs to be passed down to the people at the bottom. People may call this top-to-bottom approach. A lot of time, the downward communication is instruction that the top management needs to give employees in order to get the job done. Procedures and practices also come from the top, and they can also be found in a formal handbook. They can be rules or policies that are necessary in the workplace. At my job, I get instructions when I arrive on the things that I need to accomplish that evening. My supervisor is using downward communication. Sometimes there can be accuracy problems with downward communication. This can happen when inaccurate information gets passed down and things get added or lost in translation. People need to make sure that they're passing down the right information and know where the information is and where it is coming from. There's also upward communication in organizations. This is when a message starts at the bottom and needs to go up to the top of the hierarchy. Upward communication lets supervisor know that there's a message has been received or to voice opinions or ideas. Most upward communication is information about the person themselves, information about a coworker, information about a job that needs to be done, or information about a policy or procedure. Part of upward communication can involve employee silence. This is when an employee withholds information that can be useful to the organization. They also can do this on purpose when they do not feel like, or when they do not feel like it'll make a difference. Or they keep quiet to protect themselves from retaliation, or do not want to cause conflict. All these reasons can hurt an organization. Some people think that people who are silent are not committed to the company. Others thinks that it can lead to negative job satisfaction and motivation. Upward communication can be filtered or distorted, so management may not get the whole picture. To make it easier for upward communication, there needs to be trust. There needs to be multiple ways to communicate and have barriers. Lastly, there's lateral communication. There is communication that happens when people are on the same level. People that work together oftentimes share information and solve problems working together. They may also brainstorm ideas that they would not normally say to the boss and just have normal conversations about their lives to pass the time. Next, I will answer the question of using a specific bad example from your own experience discussed to improve both horizontal and lateral communication within an organization. I think the most common bad example is lack of communication that my boss has given me in the past. There are several instances of bad communication. One example is that I have two of my bosses ask me to do two different things on the same task. They were both assigned to do the task, and they both have their own ways of doing it. This could be solved if they use lateral communication to talk to one another and come up with a method they both like. It could also be solved by using downward communication by their boss having a conversation with my two bosses to come up with a plan ahead of time to use the same method. A boss could also assign one leader to said task, and they could have the final say of all the decisions of how it gets done. Without downward or lateral communication, I must use upward communication to ask for clarification. When using upward communication, I usually get told to do the same method of the person I asked for the clarification on. And if they never talk about it with each other, so the other one gets mad or confused for no good reason. I feel like this is a hard thing to ask a manager to do because they feel like their way is best and also feel like they are in charge. When more than one person feels this way, it confuses the employees below them and makes the job harder than it needs to be. With lack of communication, I have found that makes me use lateral communication to ask my coworkers for clarification or for instruction when my boss makes the task confusing. For Chapter 6, I will be considering the workplace culture of my workplace and describe the organizational culture using fictional, interpretive, critical, and postmodern approaches to understand the culture. Functional approach to this is how managers can foster effective cultures. Managers have predictable patterns and ways they are doing things. For example, my main manager has the same routine of tasks I have to do every day, but also gives me new tasks. But I also know that I will usually get new tasks every single day. Also, my schedule and time I have to be at work are the same, so I know what I'm doing and have to arrive and when I can leave. The managers are also very inconsistent with the communication to night crew. I believe this is a reflection because they're always complaining about the poor job the night crew did. I believe if they talked to each other more often, they would have better communication and both would do a better job. The interpretive approach are shared interactions that produce shared realities. When I first started and new people watch how people do things to learn the task. People that watch can often find ways of new and improved way of doing a task to speed up their production. It also can mean new hires pick up slang of the company quicker. The critical approach explains how people can be stuck in the same path and aren't willing to try new ways. I think this happens a lot with new hires as they aren't listened to very often and get ignored. The postmodern approach is how different people see the company in different ways. I think this is because the different experiences of each employee has, and also their background and how they see the world. Some people can handle rougher environments better than others. The question of comparing my organization to Poole and McAfee and how can your organization climate be considered as a structural process? I think that there is a consensus uh, that the company we all have the same mindset that the managers don't really know what they're doing. Lower level employees are collectively feel like managers could be doing a better job. They all have a concept pool as mentioned in section 6.1, and it is a hive mind. There is an occasional climate that has a slight difference of opinion. I think the majority of the time you have to use your own opinion, but this hive mind like mindset can alter your thoughts and make things feel worse than they actually are.